Hey guys, it's Jason with the Board Game Mechanics, and today we're going to take a look at a game all about collecting artifacts from around the world called Museum. Museum is a 2 to 4 player game from Holy Grail Games. With amazing art from Vincent Dutray, which I'll come back to later. And what you're trying to do in this game is you are trying to collect artifacts from all over the world and get them in your museum. You're trying to get artifacts in your museum better than your opponents. You're trying to put them in certain collections that maybe patrons of your museum want to come and see. Trying to get them in certain layouts to score points so your museum is easy to walk through and flow through. But you got to be careful because sometimes public opinion is going to come out on some of these locations where you're trying to dig. Maybe you're taking a bunch of cards from this one area and they're not getting displayed correctly. That doesn't make the public happy. So that's a little bit about the game. Let's go down to the table and I'll show you how you play it. All right, so here's the game of Museum, all set up for 4 players, but I'm only going to show you 1 player board, and I'm not actually going to play through the game. I'm just going to kind of show you what you do on a turn and kind of what goes on at the end game and all that stuff. So to set up, you're going to do it like this. You're going to put the headline cards here, favor cards here. There's decks of each of the 4 different cards up here. You're going to flip 2 in each location, unless the headline tells you otherwise. So here's what the headline says here. So this is saying America's at war. We're going to close down America Pacific, which is what I did with the closed embargo section. Then after you do that, you're going to put this expert board up here. You're going to flip 3 experts, not ports. And you're going to give each player 1 card from all the different locations. As you can see, I did here. And on the front, there's going to be art and numbers, the value and all that, and little icons. And each player is going to get a favor card, which is going to be like a special ability that they'll be able to do during the game at some point. All right, so let me tell you what you're going to kind of do on your turn. So on your turn, you're going to follow this nice little card right here. And it's going to kind of tell you what you're going to do. Oh, and each player is also going to get a patron. You're going to get 3 and pick 1. I picked that one over there, Chinese Legacy. I'm trying to get as many purple Chinese cards as I can in my museum to score a pile of points. But I don't get any unless I can get 5. So I need to get at least 5. All right, so on your turn, what you're going to do is you have to draft a card from one of the locations. So normally there would be 4 with 2 cards, but in this case there's only 3. And I know that I want purple, so I'm going to come over here, snag this purple card. It's going to go into my hand. They're going to have a color, which is the civilization. They're going to have a domain up here, which is another set collection piece and just art and some factoids about that. So I'm going to put this into my hand. All right. Then what else I can do on my turn is I can furbish my museum, or I can do inventory. So let me kind of explain both of those real quickly. So to furbish, what I'm going to do is I would play a card into my museum. So say I wanted to play this purple one. So I want to play this purple one down. And then I want to just, that's it. So I only want to play that purple one. So then what I have to do is I have to discard another card that equals this value. So that's a 2. I could play 1 card that's a 2, or I could play a couple 1s. I could play some of these favor tokens, prestige tokens over here, which I'll explain in a second to make up the difference. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to discard into my own personal display this. So I'll put my discard over here. So that's my discard. My favor over here. All right, so this is my common pool. So I've played this card in my museum. I've discarded this. Now, because this is a 2, I'm going to score 2 points. All right, then I'm allowed to buy 1 expert card. I buy expert cards the same way, is they're going to have a value, which is going to, you can see it up there in the top. It looks like a little stamp. So this was a 3. And it's going to give me a special ability that I can do throughout the turn. Yeah, so this is going to give me an extra blue card at the end of the game, which I'll explain scoring in a second. I can buy one of those, and then I can play a favor card from my hand if I want to on my turn. They look like this. They're purple on the back. There's a 3 hand limit of these and a 7 hand limit of cards. But I don't want to do anything else, so I'm done. Now, before I take the furbish action or inventory action, after I take a card everyone else is also allowed to take a card. So I could take that card, all the other players would go around, they'd take some cards. So let's just simulate it. So they want to take these 2 cards. So 2 people took these 2 cards. Then for everyone who takes a card is going to give me a prestige point. So now I have 2 extra points of stuff to be able to spend to take other actions. Now at the end of my turn, what we're going to do is we're going to refill. So we're going to refill Europe because, public opinion. Now I can explain what that does. All right, so we take this, shuffle it in. So public opinion, I'll explain that in a second. 1, 2, all right. There's actually 2 of these here because 2 public opinion cards came out. Then we're going to refill Asia. Okay. And then all the other players went. So then it would be beginning of the round. So this headline card goes away and we'll flip a new one. A school at the museum. Recruiting experts cost -1 this whole entire round. So until my turn again, that's in effect. And now this is open. So we can bring in some cards into America Pacific. All right, and then we're going to do that all over again. A couple additional things. Whenever your score hits 10, an increment of 10, you're going to get an extra favor card, so you can get another one of those. When someone hits 50, that's going to trigger the end of the game. Just 50 on this track. It's going to trigger the end of the game. Every other player gets 1 more turn. All right, now let me go over scoring a little bit, because that's the gist of the game. Now let me go over one other action that I didn't say. Another action you can do in your turn is you can do inventory. What inventory means is I can take cards from my common pool and put them into my hand. So say I wanted to take this card and get it into my hand, I could basically, instead of putting stuff in my museum, I could take this, put it in my hand to be ready to go for another turn. All right, so that's everything that you can do on your turn. Now, let me explain these public opinion things. So as you can see, Europe has a public opinion of 2. You can see the little 2 exclamation marks down at the bottom. What that means is every one of those cards that you have in your common pool, your discard at the end of the game is worth that many negative points. So if what is that? That's Europe. So right now, if the game ended, I would have -2 points in Europe because it has a public opinion of 2. So if you're going to do that, you want to at least get this card that I have, which I can make a continent worth no public opinion. So to keep the negatives, or you want to try to get all of those cards out of your hand and into your museum, so on and so forth. All right, so that's that. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to, as you're playing cards in your museum, let me get to that first. So when you're playing a card in your museum, you can play it wherever you want. Doesn't matter. And you can always rearrange. Doesn't matter. At the end of the game, you're allowed to have 1 more time to do a final arranging of your museum. What you're trying to do is, let me get some stuff so I can show you. I'm going to go ahead and make a collection here, a purple collection. 3, and each of these columns can hold 5 cards. Let me get something else going here. Then we'll do this one. I'm actually going to put these here because that's smarter. So I'll put these here. There's 5. So there's 3, 4, 5. And I'll put this one here. And then I also want to put, let me see what other cards we have here. I want another color of wheel. So let me get another color of ship wheel. All right, here we go. All right, so say this is how I ended the game. Now we're going to score collections. So that's where this card comes in handy. This is going to show you how you're going to be scoring. So let me kind of just explain it without having to go through this card. So the way that the scoring works is you're going to score civilizations, which are colors, and you're going to score domains, which are symbols. So the way a civilization works is you have to have all of a certain color, as big as collection as you can. So I was trying to collect purple. I needed to have at least 5 to get 10 points. So I have 5 purples. That means they're all next to each other, and I can get to them through hallways and such. So I have a collection here. 5 purple, so that would give me 10 points. So I'll go ahead and give myself 10 points. Then I would score my domains. So domain means same symbol, but different colors. So these 3 could not count because they're the same color, but I can use this one, and this one, and that would be a 3 domain, and that would give me 5 more points. And I scored my patron card, but I didn't score my actual collection. So a collection of 5 civilization cards is worth 5 points. So I get 5 more points. All right. Then in your museum, you can see over here, you have a colored section, and everything covered up section, and then both. So if I can get a collection in my colored section, which I did in the middle, I'll score those extra points. So I would get 7 extra points. So I'm at 37. Can't really reach it. Then if I had my whole board covered, I would get an extra 15. And if I did them both, which I would because my whole board being covered and a collection here, would give me 25 points. So I didn't have my whole board covered, so I don't score that. But I did get this, so I scored that. Each of these boards are going to have a different layout. Could be a T, could be different columns, whatever, with the specific color. But you're going to get points for all of that. And I believe these are points as well. I might be wrong, but I think these would be worth 2 points as well. And then after you add all that up, you're going to see who has the most points, and they're going to be the winner. Some of these cards may give you some extra points at the end. Like this is going to tell me that I have an extra blue card. If I was collecting a blue civilization, this will give me an extra one to help me get more points, so on and so forth. So you're just trying to have the best, collect sets the best, and have the best display in your museum, meet your patron goal, and just try to have more points than your opponent. And that's how you play museum. Quickly, wasn't a real playthrough, but I think it kind of gives you the gist of what we're doing here and how the game plays to see if this game is for you. So enough of that. Let's go up to the top, see what we think about it. All right, well, that was museum. First off, let me say, before I go even further, the art in this game is fantastic. So I kept out the Asia cards because I wanted you guys to take a look at them. I just wanted to show you some art. Every card art is different and amazing. So let's just look at a couple of these here. These are incredible. I mean, if you're a fan of Vincent Dutrait, or even if you're not, if you just like good art, these cards are amazing. So yeah, I mean, first off, that's like my favorite thing about this game is the art is amazing. It's fun to look at, and yes, it's impressive that that many cards all have different art. All right, now let me talk about the game. So at its core, this is a set collection game and kind of a drafting game. And by drafting, I don't mean take a card, pass it around. You're going to a location, you're taking a card. So you're drafting it, drawing it from the area. The tricky thing with this is you're trying to collect sets to display them in your museum in certain ways, or maybe certain types of collections for your patrons to come in and look at. That's the hard part of this game. Collecting is easy. Putting them in your museum is easy. The hard part is knowing how to get the cards that you've collected displayed into your museum to get maximum points. That is a beast, and there's just so many ways to score points. So you're trying to score the domain, you're trying to score the color, what's the civilization, you're trying to score your patron card, you may have a favorite card that's going to give you some points, you may have an expert that's going to give you some points, you're also trying to meet the color on your museum to score those points, and you're also trying to make sure that you don't have any cards in your discard pile that are going to give you negative points for those stupid public opinion tokens. So yes, the gameplay is simple. The scoring and how to set up your museum is a beast. So I think you got a pretty good overview of what this game does and how this game plays. It's not super interactive. I mean, there's a little bit of, piggybacking on people's turns, but you still get something good. Or you can buy the cards out of their common pool, which I didn't show. So one thing else you can do in your turn, instead of playing cards from your hand or from your own discard pile, you can give another player a favor and you can play cards out of their discard pile into your museum. Same rules. You get to discard cards, so on and so forth, but it goes straight into your museum. So that's kind of cool. But that's essentially the end of the interactivity for this. So yeah, I enjoy this game a lot. Played it 5, 6, 7 times, somewhere around there, and every time I like it more. So I'm going to give this a BGM accepted seal. It's going to be an 8 out of 10 on BGG, or for our arbitrary scale, that means absolutely nothing, 4 out of 5 wrenches. And yeah, so that's Museum from Holy Grail Games. I'm Jason with the Board Game Mechanics, and as always, keep gaming.